keys to time zone adjusting quickly if you're flying across the ocean to Japan like I did just here, and you have a competition, or you're flying to Europe and you want to get time zone adjusted quickly, or you're just going for a travel and you don't want to be in bed all day sick, jet lagged. Welcome in, much love. Trav here talking about how to beat jet lag. So come with the walk for me in the harbor here in Osaka, headed into Kyoto today. Competition this weekend and next weekend, and all it takes me is one day to get on the local time. So let's talk about how to do that quickly, and a few keys, a few things you should pick up if you want help with this. And the first thing is just understanding how the body works. That yeah, the body likes the solar calendar, the body likes to be by the sun. You want to be waking up when it sunsets, or when the sun rises, and going to sleep when the sun sets, roughly. And when you're not doing this, the body gets super confused and thinks like, what the hell is going on? So no matter how you do it, you're gonna have some residual drowsiness. You're gonna have some residual hangover, jet lag. That is really unavoidable. We're just trying to minimize it and make it go away as quick as possible. So before we get into the specific tips of what to do, when to take, what time, whatever, one key thing to think about is the better shape you're in, the easier adjustment it's going to be. So you should be training for it, because you fly in long planes as well. You're going to be sick because you're breathing in this bad air. You're going to be sitting for an extended period of time. You need to get up and move, etc., etc. You're going to be eating unfamiliar food. Therefore, the better shape you're in, the quicker the adjustment will be. The better your sleep has been, the better the adjustment will be. If you're already sick, not getting enough sleep, it's going to make it way harder if you're not in good shape. So you should be training, physically training for your competition, even if it's something mental that seems like mental sports like Magic the Gathering, okay? So first thought, how long in advance do I get in, right? Say that I've got a major competition and I've got a 16-hour time zone change. I heard that it's supposed to be 1 day per 1 hour. What do you think about that? Is that true or false? Turn around and come back this way, whence we came. True or false? Well, the more time, the better, because it lets you adjust. On the other hand, the longer you come in advance, the more you're going to be off your previous schedule. If you've got some kind of specific diet and workout training regimen, you get into a new place. I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't have access to the same facilities. I don't have access to the same food. So it's a balance. You don't necessarily want to get in too early. You don't necessarily want to get in too late. But generally, earlier is better so that you have more time and can get over the drowsiness. However, from my experience, 1 hour per day doesn't really make a lot of sense. Well, the method I'm going to give you is fully adjusting to the time zone in the first day. And this works for me going to Europe, and it works for me going to Asia. So a key thing to keep in mind is whether you're jumping ahead or back. So you're going to Europe, it's 9 hours ahead from, say, California. You're gonna have to go to sleep 9 hours earlier. On the other hand, you're going west to, let's go back down these stairs. On the other hand, you're going west to Asia. It's 16 hours ahead. It's like 8 hours behind. You're gonna have to stay up 8 hours later, or go to sleep 16 hours earlier. Right, so you need to think about the strategy of this. Now, either way, you're gonna have to either stay up later or go to sleep earlier. Going to sleep 16 hours earlier can be a little bit rough. Maybe staying up 8 hours later is gonna be a lot easier for you. That's how you can do it in one day, right? Maybe staying up 9 hours is probably going to sleep 9 hours might be harder for you than staying up 15 hours. But really, the less time zone adjustment, the better. So chop it down like that. Okay, tools you can use. This is what I recommend, or this is what I use personally. Caffeine, okay, for one, if I'm gonna stay up later and don't wanna go to sleep, I should be taking caffeine. Hang on, before we talk about caffeine and melatonin, we wanna be getting synced in the time zone. So I wanna be preparing to be going to sleep 8 hours earlier, right? Or preparing to stay up 9 hours earlier. So I wanna be preparing to take caffeine 9 hours earlier, or take caffeine 8 hours later, right? So for instance, all right, caffeine to stay awake. We'll get into a couple specifics of how to do it going east or west. Melatonin to go to sleep earlier. I'm a big fan of melatonin. Let's turn around because they have these like weird electric wire sounds. Melatonin is what the body produces naturally when going to sleep that makes you sleepy. Now, I don't recommend taking melatonin all the time, but for one time when you need to adjust your time zone, it's a reasonable thing, because if I'm taking melatonin at the local time, I'm gonna get fucking tired and drowsy. I'm gonna get adjusted very fast and fall asleep. So for instance, I'm coming west 16 hours ahead or 8 hours behind, depending on how you look at it. So what I did is, at 8 a.m., before my flight to Japan, at 8 a.m., in 8 a.m. in California, I took melatonin. I had already been awake, and normally I would definitely not want to take melatonin at 8 a.m. But 8 a.m. here was midnight in Japan, right? So I'm already priming myself the day before to get to sleep. Now, when I get 8 hours later on the plane, I am going to take caffeine. And then when I land, I'm going to make sure to stay up till at least 10 p.m. local time. And at that time I can take melatonin again, go to sleep. And at that point, I've had melatonin 2 straight days when I'm supposed to. And the key at this point is just getting up early and getting out and getting sun, which I've done. And it helps if you're working out as well. That'll help with your sleep and everything. But that's pretty simple, right? That's basically going west how it's done very easily. Now you're going east, like I said, you're going, say, California to Western Europe is a 9-hour time zone change. What you want to do is, or 9 hours ahead, you need to go to sleep 9 hours early. You can also would just take melatonin 9 hours earlier. To me, it's such a useful tool. Like, it's pretty hard to do, otherwise you get wrecked a little bit. So this dude messing around over here. Go back this way. Okay, now say you're flying Europe to, there's a few ways to do it. You're flying like Europe to California. I've did this recently. And you're leaving at kind of a regular time from Europe, getting into California, 9 hours time zone. This is a similar way to do it for Japan. It's like, instead of taking melatonin at 8 a.m. in the local time, I could just not, and I just stay up, and I stay up, and I stay up, and I just go to sleep 9 hours later or 8 hours later, and boom, I'm instantly synced. So I like that method as well, because I don't want to recommend you as taking drugs is the only way to do it, because obviously, you know, you don't need that shit. It's not necessary. And if you stay up later, it's a lot easier to fall asleep because you're going to be tired than going to sleep 8 hours earlier is going to sleep like 16 hours or 8 hours earlier is super hard. So in general, flying west is easier because you're staying up later. So when you're flying west, you don't necessarily need anything other than maybe some caffeine. If you're flying east, it's going to be harder because you do have to go to sleep earlier. Therefore, that's a useful tool. And it's worth bringing with you because it's hard to find. Like, I knew they didn't sell it in Ireland, for instance. So, some other keys. So I mentioned also, keys to better sleep, actually falling asleep. Say you don't have access to it. You live in Ireland or someplace, or you just don't want to use anything. You're total straight edge or whatever. Although that shit's like not even over the counter. You get it on the shelf at the drugstore. Okay, so say that you want to do it without anything. What are some keys to falling asleep? If you're gonna fall asleep earlier, it's gonna be hard to do, really. But you need a good ass workout. So you need to walk around and do some exercise and so on. Recommend that. It's also gonna help, like, you're coming in, depending on where you're staying, you might need headphones or earplugs, but also something that can help if you're in an unfamiliar place to help you fall asleep is putting on ambient sound. White noise, I've seen a lot of people do this, like for Magic tournaments, especially if people snore. You can set your computer to play it, or you can download an app on your phone, which I've done, and play that, and it'll drown out a lot of noise, make it a lot easier to sleep. Hey, Japan Coast Guard up here. That's kind of cool. Might go up on this bridge and walk around. and try to film up there, but there's all these cars zooming by and people probably won't be the best. So another method, like staging it, like I mentioned, like going to sleep at certain times, but also like eating at certain times. So you want to like get your eating schedule closer to the eating schedule of where you're going to be sooner is another way to get your body more adjusted. So like say you're going to eat in the evenings at 7 p.m. then you want to, you know, I just haven't found that to be necessary, the eating method, but it's hard to even do the numbers and wrap your head around it. You know, pretty much just get in, stay up late or go to sleep early and train, be in good shape. So I hope you find that useful. It works well for me. I'm still improving it. You know, I've flown across the ocean 9 times now, which is a good amount of times, but I can still always get better. I'd like to get better. So if you want to throw something in here that you find useful, or you disagree with any of this method, you think it's bad or not good for whatever reason, I'd love to hear, because it helps me and helps everyone as well. But feel good. 1 day in, instant adjustment in 1 day. You know, I've played this wrong before where I came in, I didn't stay up and immediately went to sleep, and then my sleep schedule was all fucked, and then it's taking me days to adjust it. But with this method, like, you just do it in 1 day. You feel a little bit hungover, but not so bad, and get back to mental, physical peak very soon. So hope you find that helpful. Leave a comment down below, and look forward to seeing what you have to say, and let's go check out this bridge in the next vid. So much love. See you in the comments. Peace.